Jai Jai Shri Guru and Gauranga. Welcome. Today I'm doing Harikatha and playing harmonium.
Kishori Mohan Prabhu's running late, but we didn't want to keep you waiting. So we put Subi there just to show you that we're here. Please wait 1 minute.
Where's your tilak?
Chalo. Okay, here he is.
You need tilak.
I have tilak.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why I was running late. I realized that I forgot to put my fresh tilak on. And according to Shastra, if you don't wear tilak while you're doing any activity on the path of bhakti, you don't get the full benefit. In fact, you really don't get the benefit. And so, whatever we do, even when we honor Mahaprasad, that is an aspect of bhakti. When we are doing arti, when we are doing kirtan, when we're hearing harikatha, when we're observing Ekadashi, when we're doing parikrama, when we're cleaning the temple. So, I was wearing tilak. Please forgive me for my delay.
It's okay. Subi took over quite well.
So Subi took over quite well. Dandavat pranam, all Vaishnavas.
Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat pranam.
Oh, 1 second. We're not prepared. There we go.
So we will begin.
Wait. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Pan Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Pati Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Prem Purushottam Shachinandan Gaur Hari ki jai. Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai. Radha Ramana Ju ki jai. Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. Hare Nam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. So we're beginning on page 1 of this book, Shri Gauriya Giti Kucha, with Mangalacharan, Vandeham Shri Guru, Shri Yutapada Kamalam, Vandeham. Thank you, Subi, for carrying that.
Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Nityanamine Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudaksham Audharya Madhurya Gunaishcha Yuktam पुरुषं महन्तं नारायणं त्वां शिरसा नमामि वेदन्दिनं भक्तशिरोमणिं च श्रीकृष्णपादाभिगतैकहृद्ये चैतन्यलीलामृतसारसारं नारायणं त्वां सततं प्रपद्ये नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतये श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवाणी पाश्चात्यदेशकारिणे नमः विष्णुपादाय गौरप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्री श्रीमद्भक्तिप्रज्ञान केशवैति नामिने अतीमद्यच्चरित्राय स्वश्रुतानंशपालिने जीवन्मुखे सदर्भाय श्रीनामप्रेमदायिने नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्त सरस्वतीति नामिने श्रीवर्षभारती देवी दयिताय कृपाभये कृष्ण सम्बन्धविज्ञान नयिने प्रभवे नमः माधुर्योज्ज्वलप्रेमध्य श्रीरूपानुगभक्तिदा श्रीगौरकरुणाशक्ति विग्रहाय नमोऽस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दिनकारिणे रूपानुगम्यरूपापो सिद्धान्तो ध्वन्तहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रारम्भारसम्बोधे पदम्बुजायते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगवरायते गौराविर्भावभूमे स्वं निर्देष्टा सजनप्रिय वैष्णव सर्वभौमश्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरद्विषे नमः हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जयतं सुरतोपङ्गो मम मन्दमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्वल्पनं भोजो राधामदनमोहनो दिव्यं वृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमदो श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थो श्री श्रीराधा श्रीगोविन्ददेव प्रेष्ठादिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमद्रसरसारुभिः मं शिवततस्थितः कर्षं वेणुस्वनगोपी गोपीनाथ श्रीस्तु नः वृन्दाय तुलसीदेव्यै प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्णा भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्तव्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वार्थसफलं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनं हरे नाम हरे नामेव केवलं ततो नस्त्येव गतिरन्यथा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम हरे हरे।
Page 360, गुरुदेव कृपा करके मुझको अपना लेना। GURUDEVA RPA करके 360 360
Gurudeva
Vaisnava Thakura, page 39, Ohevaisnava Thakura.
What page?
39. Page 50, Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, same or Sampada. Yes?
Page 50. How does it begin?
Sri Rupa Manjari Pada. S-R-I-R-U-P-A Manjari, M-A-N-J-A-R-I Pada.
Also, for those of you who don't have a songbook, if you just keep scrolling down the thread here, you will see that Jiva Bhavana Prabhu mercifully always adds the lyrics and the meanings to the kirtans that we're singing. And if you continue searching, generally he will add so much beautiful Hari Katha in the thread as well. So just keep scrolling down and you will get the lyrics from Jiva Bhavana Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Shri Rupa Manjari Pada Se Mora Sampada Shri Rupa Manjari Pada Se
The Sri Rupa Manjari-pada was one of the bhajans that Srila Gurudev said that we can also sing for our Gurudev. In that case, we will call out to Sri Guru Manjari or just our Gurudev, that we should have this mood of exclusivity, of nishtha in the lotus feet, in the teachings, in the instructions, the observances of our Gurudev. So we would pray in this way that you are the purpose of all of my japa. You are the purpose of my austerities. You are the purpose of my taking vows. You are the purpose of my mantras, to take shelter of your lotus feet. Without you, koruna na hoile, kandya kandya prana nara kiboa. Without you, without your mercy, I have no reason to maintain my existence. And here also, in the end it says, Tua ardarshana ahi garali jaralo dehi. That your absence from my vision, this is an intense mood of separation, is like a snake that has corroded my body with poison. Chirodina tapita jivana. That the remaining days of my life will pass in the burning fire of separation. The other day I saw that one devotee was posting a beautiful mood about feeling separation from Sri Guru. And another one commented, oh yeah, but they're always there present with you. And so there are simultaneously two aspects. Yes, like our Srila Prabhupada said, that I never felt any distance from my Gurudev, that I always felt his presence with me. And yet, how Srila Prabhupada also expressed feelings of intense viraha or separation from his Gurudev. The same with our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and our Param Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. How he would weep in separation from him. This is due to the vishramba, the intimacy of their relationship, when they serve with love and affection, when they serve with one pointed attention, when they engage all of their senses, their mind, their body and everything in the service of the lotus feet. That means the teachings, the instruction of their Gurudev, without any selfishness or self-centeredness or expectation for anything else, only for seva. Then this mood of intimacy, this mood of separation can develop. And we see this also with the gopis and Krishna and the Brajavasis. Of course, Krishna is God and they're the eternal associates of God, and yet they feel intense separation from Him. When even one moment of separation comes, they feel like it is thousands and thousands of years, if not yugas. So this is also a transcendental feeling. And Srila Gurudev explained that first and foremost, we must feel this kind of feeling for Sri Guru, for the Vaishnavas, especially for our Gurudev, if we are ever to hope to have this kind of feeling for Radha and Krishna. If we claim to have this kind of feeling of intense separation from Radha and Krishna, but we are not feeling it for Gurudev and Vaishnavas, then it is not true separation of Vipralamba from Radha and Krishna. So all of these main principles in bhakti, first and foremost, we apply wholly and totally in the lotus feet of Sri Guru. That is the point of this bhajan. Say more bhajana pujan, say more prana dhana, say more abharana, say more jivaner jivan, say more rasanidhi, say more vancha siddhi. All of these aspects of bhakti, in supplication, in desperation, in great necessity, and with the feeling of service, also in separation. When this mood is applied wholly at the feet of Sri Guru, then one can hope to have this feeling for Radha and Krishna. Guru will take that feeling, that emotion we have, will purify that, will qualify it, and will offer it in the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. Now we will call out for the mercy of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Srila Gurudev said, if you want the mercy of Radha and Krishna, you cannot attain their shelter without the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If you want the mercy of Mahaprabhu, you cannot attain his mercy without the shelter of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. If you want to attain his mercy, you cannot attain it without the mercy of the Vaishnavas and Sri Guru. So we are going in a sequence. Nitai Gunamani Amar Nitai Gunamani, page 61. Nitai Gunamani MANI 61. Sudevi, would you like to read it?
Sure.
What tune?
Probably this one. Not too low.
One second. Gurudeva पावन श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। सखे कालय गौरमुदार
Page number 314.
314.
340. Sakhe, S-A-K-H-E. Sakhe Kalaya. K-A-L-A-Y-A.
340 340
सखे
Deva Bhavantam Vande.
Page 343, Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande.
Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Previous page, Kalayati Nayanam. K-A-L-A-Y-A-T-I. Kalayati Nayanam by Sri Rai Ramananda. Sudevi? No, no. She sang this one for Gurudev before. He really liked it. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Namah Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayaniti Namine Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yakrpatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandavat Pranam thousands of times, the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Visnupada, astottara Shata Shri Srimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. In the same Dandavat Pranam thousands of times unto the lotus feet, dust of Nitya Lila Pravishta Visnupada, astottara Shata Shri Srimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Rupanu Guru Varga, and to all Vaishnavas past, present, and future, including those who are with us today. I'm offering my Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
You know that tune of Hare Krishna we just sang? I remember once I was sitting there with Krishna Das Prabhu just in front of Srila Gurudev, and Gurudev looked at him and said, Vipralambha. And immediately Krishna Das broke into that tune. So that's the name we gave that tune, Vipralambha. That tune was very dear to Gurudev. But Vipralambha means a mood of separation. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. The Krishna Das immediately broke into that tune when Gurudev wanted to feel a mood of separation. So there's different tunes, different names we've given to different tunes. Of course, Gurudev named that one Australia, we all know that one. But we have many different names for different tunes of Hare Krishna. So today, we are going to continue with Going Beyond Vaikuntha. This beautiful book, which is a commentary by our Srila Gurudev on Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita of Sanatan Goswami. So before entering into this book, we will pray in the words of Raghunath Das Goswami to Sri Sanatan Goswami, the compiler who manifested this book from his own transcendental vision, his darshan. Vairag Juga Bhakti Rasam Prayatnair Apayanam Mam Anubhikshamandam Kripam Gudirya Paraduk Dukhi Sanatana Spam Prabhum Ashrayami. Begging in the dust of the lotus feet of our Gurudev, the commentator, and Sri Sanatan Goswami, the compiler, that may even a particle of their moods, which are present within these pages, manifest within our hearts. I believe someone the other day posted a quote from Srila Gurudev. Maybe it was from the audio seva team. Somebody posted this beautiful quote from Gurudev, saying how we should enter in, that we should not see this as a book, but rather we should pray to that book. Instead of looking at it as a book, we should look at it as the heart of those Vaishnavas and pray for their mercy. Then Srila Gurudev said, if we approach this book in that way, then automatically all of the knowledge, the tattva siddhant, the rasa which is present within will manifest in our hearts. So approaching it with humility. So the other day, Srila Gurudev was speaking about the demigods and the demons fighting over what side of Vasuki they would get to churn the ocean of milk using Mandara mountain on the back of Kurmadev, Kurma Avatar, the tortoise incarnation of the Lord. And by doing so, the demigods and demons were actually pleasing the Lord because Kurma felt an itch on his back and they were scratching his back. But the demigods used some kind of reverse psychology with the demons, saying, we want the head of Vasuki, because the head is more auspicious. And the demons were like, what makes you have the right to take the head? We want the head. And the demigods are like, we're auspicious, we're better, we're superior, so we get the head. And the demons were like, no, we want the head. And so there was fighting back and forth, but actually the demigods wanted the tail because they knew that a special kind of poison would come from Vasuki, this giant snake. So they actually tricked the demons. And eventually the demons took the head and so much poison came out and it was burning the demons. So the demigods had tricked them by using reverse psychology. So then the demons decided that whatever the demigods said, they realized, I don't know if you've ever played this game, Opposite Day, that whatever the demigods say, we're not going to trust them, we're going to take the opposite meaning. Anyhow, I told you the last time what happened. Once they were churning, so many things manifested from this ocean of milk. Very toxic poison manifested from this ocean of milk, which Lord Srila took into his throat. But he did not let it down any further because he felt Krishna is in my heart. So he didn't want that poison to go near Krishna, so he kept it in his throat, otherwise it would have scorched, destroyed the entire world. So his throat became blue, and from that he is known as Nilakanta, means blue-throated one. Also Lakshmi Devi manifested from this churning, the goddess of fortune. So many different things emanated. A white elephant of the demigods was produced. When Lakshmi manifested, everyone looked and they thought, wow, she's beautiful, she's wonderful, but she would not see anyone. When Vishnu manifested in front of her, she put her garland on him because she's his eternal consort. She rejected everyone else. Dhanvantari, the god of health, he's the one who presented Ayurveda. He manifested. Ayurveda means the Veda for life, how to live and how to be healthy. So many things came out. And also what came out was Somaras, the nectar of immortality, which is why they were churning this ocean of milk in the first place, to get this nectar. So to get the nectar from this thing, there's so many things manifested, and they churned. Poison also manifested. So many things manifested. So this is also something which happens in our own process of bhakti. We notice so many things coming out as we are being cleaned out and purified, and as we are searching for the nectar. That Gurudev put Krishna deep within our heart at the time of giving us Harinam, and he gave us the map, the treasure map, how to find Krishna. That is known as sadhan. And who is our treasure? That is our sadhya, that is our goal, Krishna Prem. So love for Krishna is the process by which we can find him. Sadhyam tat pritim. The goal is love and affection for Krishna. Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur says in his Amnaya Dashmula Tattva, Sadhyam tat pritim. So with that search, also we will notice that so many anarthas will be removed from our heart. And some of them will be pretty big. I'm always not looking forward to whatever anarthas might be removed from the closet of my heart that I don't even know about. What they call skeletons in the closet. Things that we're not even aware of from lifetimes that will need to be removed so that Krishna can come and play in this place. So many things were manifested, and eventually Somaras, the nectar of immortality, was found. Gurudev here also says, interestingly, that most people think the tides come from the moon and the gravity of the moon, but according to Shastra, the tides, the rising and lowering tides, come from the breathing of Kurma Avatar. As he is breathing, he created a rhythm. Because his breathing, he's so massive, his breathing is so powerful that the tides were created by this. And then Gurudev said, so many people some say the influence of the moon is the cause, but the cause is given in the scriptures, and that is correct. So we accept what the scriptures say, the scriptural version, not just the material version as we might see from our mundane eyes or through any mundane process. So last time I told you what happened with the Somaras. Very amazing form of Vishnu manifested. The form of the most beautiful, beautiful feminine form. Very charming, very sweet, and so attractive. The demigods and demons wanted to fight over this nectar, and she said, I will be the mediator, I will deliver it, and I will do it fairly. And because she was so attractive and charming, they all just said, okay. And so they accepted. The demigods sat on one side, the demons sat on the other side. It seems like there's a natural segregation since forever between different species and different aspects, the demonic and the auspicious, the devas, the suras and the asuras. And so they were sitting on different sides, and Mohini Murti was very charmingly smiling and casting sidelong glances, and the demons were completely charmed, and she was choosing who she would give to first and who she would give to second, and they were all just accepting. By her feminine charm, she completely captivated their minds, and they were all feeling that, oh, she loves me most. As if a beautiful woman walks into a room and 50 men are there, they all open their eyes and they look, is she going to notice me like that? So they were all hoping to be noticed by her, and she was so charming, and she went to give nectar to the demigods first, but there was one demon who had snuck in amongst them, that was Rahu. And as she was giving the nectar of immortality, he took this somaras and it went into his mouth and came this far. Just at that moment, the sun god and the moon god called him out. Hey, this is a demon. Immediately Mohini Murti took her chakra and chopped his head off. So his body died, but his head remained alive because of the nectar of immortality. And this Rahu is the one who performs the act of trying to eat the sun and the moon. This is called Grahan, a very inauspicious period of time, what we currently are commonly known as eclipses, or as our Gurudev would so charmingly say, the solar eucalyptus. So, these eclipses are when Rahu is trying to devour the sun and the moon, and our Guru Varga, our Shastras say that this is a very inauspicious time. At that time, the universal balance can be upset and planets can even collide into one another. Which means all of existence as we know it, our existence anyway, can be finished in a moment. So at the time of the eclipses, all devotees are chanting the holy names. All are praying to the Lord because Krishna says, Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tejantyante kalevaram tam tameva iti kaunteya sadat bhava bhavitaha. That whatever state of consciousness one is in at the time of death, that state they will attain without fail, for sure and for certain. And so it's not just about the last moment, but really we should have a practice. Fortunately for Ajamil, many people do not know this. It is there in the purport of Srila Prabhupada, but many people still don't know it. But our Gurudev has also told it, and our Guru Varga have told it, that Ajamil was calling his son Narayan. He named his son Narayan. But it wasn't because he was calling his son that the Vishnudutas came to save him. It wasn't just because he resonated that sound, Narayan, that the Vishnudutas came to save him from the Yamadutas who were trying to pull his subtle body out of his gross body and take him to hell for all of the sins he had committed. In that moment, as he was calling his son and feeling fear, seeing these Yamadutas, he remembered his previous samskars, his previous impressions of service to Sriman Narayan. Not just his son. He was calling out that name, and then the remembrance came of serving the Lord, because previously he was very sattvic. He had a very good upbringing due to bad association and due to actually witnessing what we would consider these days to be pornography. He witnessed somebody in the act of lustful affairs. His heart became completely saturated with lust, and then he took to a sinful life. He became attracted to a prostitute, it is said in Bhagavatam, and then he began to live with her. Then he had many children with her, and to support their lifestyle, he was committing all sorts of terrible atrocities, stealing, killing, and doing so many things. But due to his early samskar, having chanted the name Narayan, 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 then at that moment he also remembered his previous service to the Lord. And by that remembrance, then the Vishnudutas came, because he called out, I think it was one Namabhas. It wasn't even Shuddhana, but one Namabhas. And from that, the Vishnudutas were challenging the Yamadutas. You have no right to take him. He chanted the name of the Lord. And so at that time, Ajamil heard a beautiful conversation about the glories of the holy name of the Lord. This was Harikatha. And by this, it was purifying to his heart. So more and more purification came. And then, even the Yamadutas went to have a conversation with Yamaraj. And Yamaraj also had to tell them and agree, this is true. So they were confused as well. The Yamadutas were confused. How is it possible? We were stopped from doing our duty. So the whole conversation is there. So Ajamil was given a second chance. And that second chance, he did not engage in any sinful activity. He kept his mind, his body, and everything focused on the service of the Lord. And then at the end of his life, he was able to go to the spiritual realm. So now we will continue with the reading. I just thought that was an important point to make. A lot of people think that at the end of your life, if you name your kid something, or if you're calling your wife and your wife's name is anything spiritual, if I'm calling Sudevi, Sudevi, and I'm only thinking of my wife, and not thinking of Krishna, and not doing anything, only thinking of my attachment to my wife, then according to Srimad Bhagavatam, what would I become in my next life? According to Bhagavad Gita, what would I become in my next life? I would become a woman. I would become a lady, because I'm meditating on with attachment and calling that name. If I were to be calling Sudevi and suddenly I remember, oh, Sudevi is one of the Ashtasakis of Srimati Radhika, and they're performing Rasa Leela with Krishna, and then I'm remembering Krishna and the glories of Krishna as told by my Gurudev at that moment, then something else will come. So that's why it is recommended in Shastra that one's family members should all be named after the Lord and the Lord's associates, so that instead of calling for Tom, Dick, and Harry, and John and Bob at the time of death, we may call for Krishna, Radhe, Radhika, right? Or Kishori, or any devotional name that might bring about a remembrance of some sanskar, some impression of bhakti in our life. But really, the point of our practice throughout our entire life is so that we can develop so many impressions, so many sanskars, very deeply, so that no matter what happens in our life, at any time, we can always remember Krishna. As Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada would say, always remember Krishna and never forget him. So whatever it is, if someone says, yum, wow, this is so good, it's so tasty, yum, then you can remember Krishna and Bhagavad Gita saying, yum yum vapi smaram bhavam. Right? Anything. There's so many things that can remind you of Krishna. Just even, Gurudev once said, what is the beauty in a tree? He said it is when the wind is blowing through the leaves and how the leaves are moving. This is the beauty in a tree. So because Gurudev said that to us, every time we look at a tree and we see the wind blowing through the leaves, we think, oh, that's beautiful. And then we see our Gurudev telling us this. And then we remember our Gurudev. That just from that one little statement, what is the beauty in a tree? As the wind is blowing through the leaves, and then we see Gurudev. And so that one little thing can create an udipana, a stimulation to remember a transcendental personality who is in love with Radha and Krishna's love. And by this, one's mind is purified, one's heart is purified. just to remember the pure devotees. So this is such mercy that they give us, that in every practical activity that we do in our life, we might be able to somehow remember Krishna. I mean, even Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is saying, time I am, destroyer of the worlds. And we're looking at what's going on in the world right now, and we can actually see this as some function of Krishna. What's going on in the world? Yes, everything is happening somehow directly or indirectly by the will of the Lord. Not even a blade of grass moves without His sanction. So we can see the Lord in everything. As He was telling Arjuna, I am the taste of water, I am the fragrance of the earth. Patram pushpam palam toyam. So you can see water. Oh, if I just offer a little bit of this to Krishna, even water, which we need to take so many times a day, every time we can remember Krishna. Or any flower, we can think of Krishna. Or fruit, or anything. Whatever it is. And then the mind can always be absorbed in Krishna. Savai mana Krishna padaravindayor. Always be absorbed in Krishna. And then at the time of the departure from this body, if our mind is absorbed in service to Krishna, then we can hopefully make rapid progress, if not actually move directly toward our perfection on the path of bhakti. So Krishna and Guru and Vaishnavas are so merciful that they always give us opportunities to remember Krishna in everything, in every aspect of our lives. So, last time I was telling how in Shastra many different avatars are mentioned. And there's not only one pastime of Kurma avatar. What we read in our Srimad Bhagavatam, this is true and correct. But in other universes, or in other kalpas, there are other Bhagavatams. And there are different Vyasadevas. Now we have a Vyasadev, the one who wrote recently, or who spoke and Ganesh wrote, his name is Krishna Dvaipaya Ved Vyas. Before him were other Vyasadevs. And in the future, Ashvatthama, yes, Ashvatthama, the same Ashvatthama, who is mentioned in Mahabharata, this Ashvatthama will become the Vyas. Means he will reveal the truth of the world. He will reveal the pastimes of the Lord and all of the different avatars. So apparently he is undergoing a state of amazing purification, and he will reveal all of these transcendental truths. This is written in Shastra that Ashvatthama will be Vyasadeva in the future. But in different universes, as I've told before, this universe that we are in, our Brahma, has 4 heads for the 4 directions. 4 dimensions, you can say. And he lives for 311 trillion years. That is the duration of our timing for him. He lives 100 of his years. That is the duration of the universe. Manifesting from Mahavishnu, expanding, where everything is created, and then contracting, where everything is gradually destroyed, and re-entering into Mahavishnu. That is Brahma's 100 years. And our Brahma is one of the very, very smallest, as told in that pastime in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. From other universes, Krishna called all of the Brahmas, all of the Shivas, all of the Indras. Millions and billions had all assembled in his hall in Dwarka, and he called our Brahma as well. And our Brahma came to the gate, 4-headed Brahma. He came to the gate and they said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm Brahma." And they said, "Which Brahma?" And he's like, "The Brahma." And they were like, 1 minute. So they come back and they said, "Okay, you can come in." He wanted to get in the door and he could barely fit in, even though he was so small and little. Finally, when he went inside, he saw that Krishna was there as the supreme Lord of everything, and millions of Brahmas, millions of Shivas, and millions of Indras. All of these Brahmas had more heads. They were larger, they were much more intelligent, and much more multi-dimensional. Their universes were different than his universe. And at that moment, he felt himself so small and insignificant. And what did he witness? all of these Brahmas, Indras and Shivas were simultaneously offering their pranam at the lotus feet of Krishna. And their helmets touching the floor as they were offering their pranam made a very tumultuous sound. And he was completely shocked. He realized his utter insignificance at that point. What to speak of us? Even Brahma, the first created being within our universe, who has created all living entities, all of the bodies for the living entities. He felt himself completely, utterly insignificant. So in other universes, we have read and we have heard that the pastimes of the Lord also might be more voluminous. Even our Vyasadeva, when he was speaking to Ganesh, he told Ganesh, only write what you understand. What you don't understand, do not write. Until you understand what I have said, don't write. So Vyasadeva would come to certain shlokas, and then Ganesh would meditate on it for a long time as Vyas continued speaking. And Ganesh didn't write down all of the other things that he was speaking. So what we have in our Srimad Bhagavatam is not all of the pastimes of Krishna. It is a small snippet of the unlimited pastimes of the Lord and all of his multifarious incarnations and avatars. His pastimes are unlimited. His avatars are unlimited. And even as he performs the same pastime, Govardhan Leela, even in this world, once in a day of Brahma, we cannot say that every single time, every detail is exactly the same. What we have captured in Srimad Bhagavatam, what we have captured there is one snippet of one time, or maybe a mixture of 3 or 4 times, which is what Prabhupada wrote about Varahadev. Many different kalpas put together in this one katha. So the basic foundational structure of the pastime is there, but there may be some differences, particular specific differences in the lila. And those who are truly tattvadarshi, and who know Krishna, who are experiencing Krishna, who can see all 3 phases of time, trikalagya, and who are actually connected to the absolute truth, and through whom the absolute truth flows, that is known as Shabda Brahma, or divine separation, absolute truth. They are able to access all of the pastimes of the Lord in every universe, in the transcendental realm, aprakat, and within this realm, all of it. If there is one pure devotee available in this world, one pure devotee, absolutely, spotlessly pure and transcendental, then nothing would be lost. Because what is flowing from their heart is Krishna. They give Krishna because Krishna is in their heart. We said this yesterday. Tomar hridaya sada govinda vishram. Within the heart of the pure devotee, Krishna is always residing. So we pray, Krishna say, Tomar, Krishna is yours. You can give Krishna. This is within your power. If there is even one pure devotee. And this is our hope, because the whole universe is dependent upon the presence of even one pure devotee. So we always have hope. So in this case, Gurudeva is saying that there are different incarnations, and there's something called Kalpa Bhed. Kalpa Bhed is like Radhika sometimes being born in Raval, sometimes being found on a 1,000-petaled golden lotus in the middle of Rishabhanu Kund, as Rishabhanu Maharaja is going to chant his morning mantras. So we see different versions of how she appeared, different versions of how Govardhan appeared in Vrindavan. Pulastya Rishi brought him one kalpa, Hanuman brought him in another kalpa. This is called Kalpa Bhed. And we understand Kalpa Bhed, or accept Kalpa Bhed, when many, many Mahabhagavat, Uttam Mahabhagavat Vaisnavas all confirm the same thing. So this is an essential thing to understand. Not when a bunch of neophytes say, yes, this is like this. No, not like that. But when many Mahabhagavat Vaishnavas confirm something, then we understand that this is transcendental truth and Shastra. So regarding Varahadev, before the creation, there was only water. Brahma heard a sound indicating that he should perform tapasya, austerity. I told you before, he was feeling afraid, seeing only darkness all around, and he heard a sound internally, tappa. And from there, he began to perform austerity. After this, by dint of his austerity, he was able to see, to meet Sri Narayan, and heard the 4 root verses, Chatushloki of Srimad Bhagavatam, and was empowered to create. He was empowered to create by the Kling Shabda, the root of Kama Gayatri, coming from the Krishna's flute. And so he heard Chatushloki Bhagavatam. It was revealed within his heart. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yat Surya. This is the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Janmadyasya Tunvayadi Taritashta Teshva Vigyasvarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yat Surya Tejo Varimadam Nita Vinimayo Yatra Trishargum Risha Dhamna Svena Sadani Rashtakukam Satyam Param Dhimahi. First verse of Srimad Bhagavatam says, it was manifested. Tene Brahma Hrida Adi Kavaye. Of course, we know there are many different definitions of this shlok. If you want to know more definitions of this shlok, then you can go to Srila Gurudev's book, Secret Truths of the Bhagavatam. It's like one of my all-time favorites. So deep and so essential. And in that first chapter, he speaks about this first verse of Bhagavatam and gives many different rasik definitions for this first verse of Bhagavatam and what is the meaning of Adi Kavaye, or the first poet. So, but this part, Tene Brahma Hrida, it was manifest within the heart of Brahma. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashita, transcendental knowledge is manifest into the heart. Now, this is the process. It's not that just, by my eyes or by my ears I can detect, but it is a matter of the sincerity of my heart, my desperation, and my endeavor that calls mercy, and that mercy manifests in my heart. So in the same way, Brahma heard this tapa, he followed the instruction, performed great austerities. By this he was able to have darshan of the Lord, who manifested the Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam, the source or the foundation by which all of the rest of Srimad Bhagavatam manifested. So there's 4 main verses. Balabhadra asked a question. Kishori Mohan Das, why is Govardhan shrinking in this kalpa? Are we to understand this kalpa was the one with the Pulastya Rishi pastime? I asked because when Hanumanji put down Govardhan, there was no curse on him, thus no reason for him to shrink. There's not necessarily no reason for him to shrink. In separation from Krishna, we have seen and heard from our Gurudev. We have seen in Shastra, and we have heard from our Gurudev, how the gopis and Madhya Yashoda and all Brajavasis, they even gave up eating, they gave up drinking, they gave up everything in separation. And they themselves began to shrink, in a sense. They cried out all of the tears that they could cry, and still continued crying. Govardhan, Srila Gurudev explained, is a manifestation of the heart of Srimati Radhika. So as Krishna left Vrindavan, although he never leaves Vrindavan, still they have this feeling that he left Vrindavan. According to Shastra, Vrindavanam parityajya padamekam negachati. Krishna never steps 1 foot outside of Vrindavan. However, their bhav, this vipralamba bhav, is that Krishna has left and they're waiting for him to return. And so they're all broken-hearted. So through this feeling of broken-heartedness, just as Gadadhar Pandit, although he was not so old, but when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed from this world, he felt so much deep separation that due to that separation, immediately he became emaciated and like an elderly, very elderly person, Gurudev explains, to such an extent that he could not even stand up to serve Gopinath. So Gopinath himself sat down to receive the service of Gadadhar Pandit. So Giriraj is also like this, not just a stone, not just a mountain, right? Druma bhumischintamani. Every particle of dust is transcendental in Vrindavan. What to speak of Govardhan, Giriraj? The gopis say, Antaya Madrir Avala Haridasa Varya. He is the best of the servants of Hari. And so actually our Gurudev established what point? If we see Govardhan as Krishna himself, this is good, but what is better? If we see Govardhan in the way that the gopis see Govardhan, as the best of the servants of Krishna. Why? Because the servant aspect can awaken service mood in another. So if we approach Govardhan with this mood, you are the best, Haridasa Varya, of the servants of the Lord, please awaken this mood of loving service in my heart for Radha and Krishna. Pramada madana lila kandare kandare te rachaitina vayuno dvandam asminamandam itikila karanaitam lagna kaspadeyone nija nikatanivasam dehi gova dhanatvam. Please allow me entrance to serve in these beautiful pastimes in the caves of Govardhan. If we pray to the devotee aspect, and then Gurudev even took it to a next step. We were at Mukharanda, and he was speaking to all of us, 1996 or 98, I think it was 96. And he said in those very intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna, no other male form can enter. No other male form. Only Krishna. Only Krishna. So Giriraj also has to take this female form. So he said, Haridasi Varya. No, Haridas, Haridasi. This feminine servant mood. So that Radha and Krishna would feel comfortable to perform their intimate pastimes. So from this perspective also we can look at Giriraj. Haridasi Varya, Haridasa Varya. For this purpose. So, yes, we generally understand when Pulastya Rishi wanted to take Govardhan. Come with me, we're going to Kashi. Kashi was burnt out, flat and ugly. And Pulastya Rishi wanted to beautify it by bringing this gorgeous, beautiful mountain there.
Did you see Balabadra's question?
I was
okay.
speaking about it.
I missed that.
Oh, sorry. So, Pulastya Rishi wanted to beautify Kashi by bringing Govardhan there. But Govardhan received a promise from Pulastya Rishi before he left the Himalayas that if Pulastya Rishi places him down anywhere, he cannot touch him, he will not move from there, and if Pulastya Rishi was in any dirty condition, he could not touch Govardhan. So these two reasons, he had placed Govardhan down because he had to go to the toilet. He went to the toilet for like a night of Brahma, like 100,000 years he was going to the toilet, and then he came back and said, okay, chalo, let's go. And Govardhan said, no. You promised that if I am put down, that I will remain, and you cannot touch me in a dirty condition. So Pulastya Rishi became angry and cursed him. That for this impudence I curse you to shrink the width of a mustard seed every day. But actually Govardhan is shrinking in separation from Krishna. Who can curse the purest devotee of the Lord, the best of the devotees of the Lord? They might accept that curse, but what is their real thing? What is actually going on internally? Govardhan is feeling separation. Until Krishna appeared, he was feeling so much separation. And even one moment of Krishna's presence not being there, he's feeling separation. And then when Krishna leaves, he's also feeling separation. There are some beautiful pastimes. So whether or not it was Hanuman who placed him there, or Pulastya Rishi who placed him there and cursed him, due to separation from Krishna, being the manifestation of the heart, which is the playground of Krishna, the heart of Srimati Radhika. Due to being the manifestation of the heart of Srimati Radhika, then Govardhan is feeling himself so vacant. Right? Yugaitam nimeshena chakshusha pravrishaitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena. The entire universe feels vacant, and one moment feels like millions of yugas of separation. So he's shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. He's entering into the ground. So we can see it from so many different perspectives. Thank you, Jiva Pavana Prabhu. Okay. So now we will continue. So, the Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam, the 4 root verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, were manifest in the heart of Brahma, and he was empowered to create. But for creation there must be a foundation, and at that time there was no base because the earth was submerged in water. Why was the earth submerged in water? Because this also happens at the beginning of time, Gabadak ocean. So here, he wasn't able to create yet. It's interesting because we're hearing that first Brahma was manifest, he was born. At the end of every day of Brahma, there is a partial devastation, and also in the beginning of creation, there's also a massive flood. Everything is situated in a very unstable situation, and everything needs to become stabilized. So for creation there must be foundation, but the earth was submerged in water, in the very depths. What kind of animal is expert at rescuing things from the depths of muddy and murky water? Boars or pigs. So, at that time, Lord Brahma was wondering what to do, how to rescue the earth from the depths of the universal flood. At that time, from Brahma's nose, a very small little creature appeared at that time, like a weevil, Gurudev says, in the form of a very, very small entity, like a weevil, emerging from his nose. That Krishna Stories tape we heard when we were little, Brahma and others are going, what in the 3 worlds is that? So, immediately he went up into the sky and doubled in size. And then when he was a little distance away, he assumed a form so large that he filled the entire sky. And he jumped straight into the ocean with both his snout and his feet pointed downward. So the swan dive is not a new creation. Swan dive was already there from the time of Lord Varahadev. Sri Varahadev ki jai. He went up into the sky and then feet first, snout first, from the sky, doing this most amazing swan dive. At that time, I think it's called a boar dive. Such violent waves were produced that they even reached up to heaven and Brahmalok, and water was spread in all directions. So massive waves went on both sides as he pierced that ocean. They went all the way up to the heavenly planets and even Brahmalok. When Varahadev arrived at Rasatal, that's the lower nether region, he took the earth on his snout and established it above the water. This is one Varaha incarnation. There's another Varaha incarnation who found that when he went to Rasatal, Hiranyaksha, Hiranya means gold, and Aksha means eyes, whose eyes are always greedy for money, for wealth. Hiranyaksha was waiting there for him. Hiranyaksha had been searching for his equal in heroics. Hiranyaksha liked to fight. He was one of the gate guards of Narayan in Vaikuntha, who was cursed by the 4 Kumaras to take birth in the material world as demons. So they decided to take 3 births as demons and then return to their seva as quickly as possible. So this was by the potency of the Lord's internal energy, Yoga Maya, that this whole pastime took place. And Jai and Vijay took birth first as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, second as Ravan and Kumbhakarna, third as Shishupal and Dantavakra, and then because they were just desperate to be in the association of the Lord in his pastimes, they again took form in Gaur Lila as Jagai Madai. But in that pastime they were not killed, only the demon inside them was killed, and they were awakened, their hearts awakened with Krishna Prem. So There's also another Varaha incarnation who found that when he went to Rasatal, Hiranyaksha was there waiting for him. Hiranyaksha was searching for his equal to fight with. He had defeated everyone else. Hiranyaksha also wanted to fight with Varunadev, but Varunadev said, I'm old and I'm not, I don't want to fight anymore. I've fought so many battles. It'll just be too easy. He said, but you know what? I know who will fight you. And when they fight you, you will be completely smashed and destroyed on the battlefield. And your body will become like food for the dogs. And he's like, who is that? And he said, Vishnu. So Hiranyaksha was also eager to fight with Vishnu because he thought he was the most powerful person in all creation. He wanted to fight. So he had asked Narada where he could find such a person. Hiranyaksha had asked where he could find such a person to fight. He was told to go to Varunadev, who told him, yes, you will find a suitable opponent and he will grind you to pieces. Who is this person? Hiranyaksha asked. Vishnu. Where can I find him? He is everywhere, but finding him is very, very difficult. When you meet him, he will destroy your pride. So, this is something like a disciple. We might not have all of the power and potency, but we should always have strong conviction in our Gurudev. My Gurudev is Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaja, and he has all the answers. He can defeat anyone's pride. We should have this mood also. Varunadev had this mood to Vishnu. Oh yes, very easily he will defeat you. I might not be able to, but for sure he can. So Gurudev, in this connection, he said that we may be like very little dogs. Little dog, he'll be on the leash of his master. But as long as he's with his master and obedient and loyal to his master, he knows my master is very powerful. He will protect me. My master has so many big guns, Gurudev said. So the little dog is very confident being with his master. Even if any other big dog comes by, that little dog will bark very loudly at that big dog to keep him away, because he knows my master is so powerful. So also we should develop this kind of nishta at the lotus feet of our Gurudev. As long as we are holding on, so many big dogs may bark here and there, but we can bark very loudly if we are holding tightly to the lotus feet of our Gurudev. Gurudev said, I want all my children to be like this. Very bold, very strong, very fierce, like lions, jumping on the heads of the elephants of aparad, sahajyavad, atheism, mayavadism, and roaring very loudly. I don't want, weak little kittens, mew, 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 like this. No, we should become bold like lions for our Gurudev. Like we've seen our Gurudev for his Gurudev, our Prabhupada for his Gurudev, our Param Gurudev for his Gurudev, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada for his Gurudev, Bhaktivedanta Thakur for his, all of them, how powerful and fearless. These days we see that so many like to hide and they're afraid of speaking truth out of fear what others might think. They're afraid to defend the integrity of their Gurudev and their Guru Parampara and will let anything slide in the name of Bhakti. This is not Guru Seva. This is not Manobhishta Seva. This is actually aparad to Gurudev and our Guru Varga. If one is not willing to speak the truth, under every circumstance, if they're not willing to be kicked, if they're not willing to endure some difficulty for the service of their Gurudev, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said they are not fit to be preachers of the Kirtan of Hari. These days everyone stays quiet and silent out of this kind of fear, that kind of fear, this kind of concern, that kind of concern. But who is standing up for the teachings of our Gurudev? Who is standing up when so many deviations are coming? Why are so many people silent? We, as aspiring disciples, have an obligation to endeavor to serve our Gurudev and please him, to follow his instructions. When the deviations come up and then people say, oh, this is from Gurudev. This is Guru. No, it's not. You cannot initiate Ritvik on behalf of my Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and I will challenge you if you do that. You cannot change his precepts and his teachings and say, this is him. You are deviating. If you deviate from his teachings, then you are not serving his manobhishta. You are going against him. And Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami very frankly says, this is the beginning of schism. Schism means the split. And anyone who is splitting and changing and concocting or creating anything which is not in line with the teachings of one's transcendental Gurudev becomes immediately known as asar. Asar means useless. What is useless? If one is not defending and upholding the teachings and the integrity of our Gurudev's teachings, his moods and the moods and teachings of our parampara. That is asar. Today I heard an interesting example given, and I've heard of this previously also. In Shastra there's something stated, and I read it from Srila Prabhupada, that a son who deviates from the proper teachings of his father and behaves against the teachings of his father, meaning being disobedient. A real son who follows properly and who helps to deliver the father, to give them mukti, who performs the proper rituals and does the proper activities of a son, they are known as putra, who delivers their father from the path which could lead to hell. This is putra. And that son who does not do anything for the benefit of their father or their lineage, that son is known as mutra. Now Srila Prabhupada explains the difference between putra and mutra. A child comes from the seed of his father. So that son who is actually helping his father to avoid the path which leads to death, he is known as putra. He's a real son. That son who is disobedient, who goes against or who creates difficulty only, they are known as mutra. It comes from the same place, but mutra means urine, means no different than that thing which is rejectable and thrown away. So Srila Prabhupada explains this point. In this case, who is our father? Gurudev is our father. Gayatri is our mother. So Gurudev said if someone goes against the teachings of our Gurudev, and we do not strongly counteract that and defend it, the teachings of our Gurudev, then we're no better than an impotent eunuch. Impotent eunuch means completely powerless. This is another way of saying useless. So we have seen our Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, how powerful he was when he would see deviations among his own godbrothers from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. He would first try to address it in so many different ways, through articles, through talking with people, and when they wouldn't adjust, then he would make a court case. And Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj said that Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, he said that without having 3 court cases simultaneously going, that there's no bhakti. And also Gurudev said that as well. Without court cases, no bhakti. In other words, there should be some endeavor. What did Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj do? He took his Gurudev to safety and he himself went out, risking his own life for his Gurudev. Our Gurudev did the same thing. He sent his Gurudev, you should go preaching. I will take care of Ananga Mohan Brahmachari instead of you. Even though there was a guarantee that he would contract tuberculosis and there was no known cure for tuberculosis at that time. So he took care of this Ananga Mohan Brahmachari, who was very dear to his Gurudev. It wasn't his Gurudev, it was his godbrother. But he took care of him for his Gurudev. And this Ananga Mohan Brahmachari was in a very, very severe case. Very severe case. And blood was coming from everywhere. Very, very ill. But our Gurudev took care of him anyhow, giving his life, giving his everything in the service of his Gurudev. And he also contracted tuberculosis. And Sudevi said, how did you cure it? And he said, oh, some little homeopathic. This is what Gurudev did. We've seen what Prabhupada did. On his own, at such an advanced age, traveling on a cargo ship for 35 days. This is like hell. Suffering, enduring extreme heart attacks. He thought, I'm definitely not going to survive this journey. Arriving in a place that he was completely unfamiliar with, meeting with someone he had never met before, after what? Sitting on a bench for hours, then taking an overnight bus, then going to this person's house, taking a shower basically, eating something, and that same night being dropped off at the Young Men's Christian Association, YMCA. He was dropped off there. And only he would go to that other house for his foodstuffs. Prabhupada writes this in his own journal, his own diary. What kind of dedication? They're giving their lives in the service of their Gurudev and their Guru Varga to maintain the purity, to maintain the teachings, the dissemination and the maintenance of the instructions of their Gurudev and Guru Parampara. So we might be little, we might be even weak, but if we have something called loyalty, we might even be like dogs. We might even be like dogs. But at least if we have loyalty to our Gurudev, that if someone is against or changing or attacking or unfriendly, that we will say something, we will make a loud noise. There's something coming to attack. What does a dog do? He barks and he defends, and he will even give his life for his Guru, for his master. We can pray to even have this slight amount of that kind of loyalty to our transcendental, pure, perfect, spotless Gurudev. I don't know where that came from, but maybe because Nrsingadev was just about to come out. So here Gurudev is saying, altogether there are... Oh, let me just see if there's any questions yet. Oh, there are questions. Okay, sorry. Let me just finish this one paragraph and then I'll get to the questions. So altogether there are 5... Oh, wait a second. What happened? Oops. The fan blew the page over. Okay, I'll answer the questions. Okay, Radhika Chandra is asking, when you know someone will not listen to you and you wish to share something for their benefit, better not to share, right? My experience is it makes them find more fault and get more agitated. So Srila Govinda Maharaj answered this question. He said, if you have an affectionate enough relationship with someone and you notice something deviant about them, but they are somebody you care about, then you may approach them in a humble way. That, Prabhu, may I speak with you? I have noticed this thing. Do you mind if I say something? And he said, if they're willing to hear, then you can say something. But if they're not willing to hear, then what will happen? It will only create agitation. So we don't need to call out individual persons. We don't need to name people and name call and like that. But the principle, we should uphold the principle very, very boldly. The principles of our Gurudev and our Guru Varga, what they have given, these principles we should maintain. And that is not a bad thing or a wrong thing. We don't need to say, oh, this person did so and this person is deviating in such a way or anything like that. But to try to address the principle, the foundational principle. This is essential. So Srila Govinda Maharaj asked that, in that case, it's better to maintain a tolerant and humble mood and offer pranam from a distance, right? If we feel that we do not have the power, actually, Sudevi had me ask a question to Gurudev in... Can you just turn it this way? Sudevi had me ask a question to Srila Gurudev in South Africa. When we were in South Africa, there was a group of devotees from another Sangha who were actively trying to thwart the preaching endeavors of our Srila Gurudev. I mean, in public, making publications and publishing in the public papers things against our Gurudev. It was pretty difficult. And many, many people came there to thwart these efforts. And so we were in a certain kind of difficult situation. We had even paid a lot of money to put an advertisement in the newspaper for our Gurudev's coming to South Africa and for his preaching. And someone who worked for the newspaper had taken the money that we gave and instead used it to advertise for someone else. And they said afterward, "Oh, we thought you were the same group." And we said, "That's not how this works. You took our money, we gave you the information." They said, "Oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it." So they actually made a full 1.5 pages thing in the newspaper for someone else and not for our Gurudev. And so there was a lot of a mood of an antagonism and aparad toward our Gurudev. But we were told by some of the devotees there that we should just remain humble, remain quiet, not say anything, not do anything, just tolerate, because that's what Gurudev would do. And so we were in a bit of a quandary what to do. Although we had the feeling in our hearts that we should do something, we should say something,
There was no quandary, we wanted to fight.
We knew what we wanted to do, and we actually wrote to Gurudev, and Gurudev liked our idea, but then we got another message that was a little bit different. So then, Gurudev came, and we were on a morning walk, and Sudevi told me to ask him a 2-part question.
In front of them.
In front of everyone, so that everyone could hear his answer.
Because they were saying we should behave as Gurudev does.
Yes. So they were saying we should behave as Gurudev does. So then the 2-part question was this. Part 1. Gurudev, what should one do if someone is making offense and making false accusations to one's Gurudev? And Gurudev said, if someone is doing that, you should cut their arguments with Shastra. In Sanskrit it is said you should cut their tongue, but Gurudev explained not a physical tongue cutting, but with Shastra to silence them. This is another meaning of cut the tongue. With Shastra, silence them. He said, but if you are not strong enough, then you should cover your ears, you should leave that place, and you should go jump in the ocean or any body of water with all of your clothes on and pray to Krishna for relief from the aparad, from being subjected to that and not having the ability to fight back against it. And then we were like, okay, we've heard this from Gurudev before. Part 2, this is my favorite part. So I asked Gurudev, Sudevi told me to ask Gurudev, what would you do, Gurudev, if someone were to speak false things about your Gurudev, were to go against your Gurudev, Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Kishori Goswami Maharaj, what would you do? And Gurudev said, my Gurudev? And I said, yes, your Gurudev. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kishori Goswami Maharaj. Gurudev said, I would beat them like this. So we saw a difference. When he was thinking it was about him, then he was taking a humble role. But when it came to his nishta and loyalty in his Gurudev, then he became like fire. I would beat like a lion. So we see that there's a difference in that mood. If he's thinking it's about him, oh yes, okay, like that. But actually we were, anyway, I'm not going to tell the full detail, but there was so many things so many amazing lessons we learned in that seva. So in this case, if someone is going against our Gurudev, we should speak up, we should write up, or our Guru Varg, our Guru Parampara, the teachings, the observances, the practices, what they have given, we should speak up, we should say something, we should do something. We don't need to attack the individual persons, but we should address the principle. The principle is so important. Like Srila Govinda Maharaj said, we can tolerate anything, but we cannot tolerate changes in the Siddhanta. We cannot tolerate changes in the teachings. It's almost finished here. And then she asked, I once heard Gurudev say something in a lecture of this essence, that if someone criticizes Guru and Krishna, they can handle it, but if someone offends another aspiring small Vaishnava, then we should not be complicit. Can you speak on this if there is time? In 1 minute, we should not tolerate if someone is offending our Gurudev, ever. And also offending other Vaishnavas. It is said that if we remain silent when these offenses are going on, then we become complicit. A lot of people don't think about this. But silence is an act of complicity. It is actually stating that, yeah, I agree with what you've done.
Like Ram and Dasara.
Yes, so Sri Ram and Dasharatha, Ram said that my father was silent when my mother Kaikeyi was banishing us to the forest. When she was banishing me to the forest for 14 years. My father remained silent. Now my father has disappeared from this world. But the fact that he did not say anything was proof of his agreement. Meaning his silence was complicity. So if we do not do something, if we do not say something, if we don't make any effort or any endeavor, then we are complicit in that. So if we see that the teachings of our Gurudev are being twisted, if they are being rejected, or if some unauthorized thing is being introduced in the name of our Gurudev, which is also not in line with our Gurudev's teachings or the teachings of Sadhu and Shastra, and we remain silent or just allow it to go on, then we are complicit in what is happening. So it's not a call to battle, but it is something for us to look into our hearts. How can I develop a mood of mamata in my Gurudev? I should become so humble that I will always be the servant of my Gurudev. And if someone is going against my Gurudev, then I have a duty, I have an obligation to become strong enough, to try to develop enough potency that I can say something. And if we make that endeavor, I guarantee you, all of you, that you will feel such a wave of mamata, means he is mine. We won't feel that if we just sit back in silent complicity. We won't feel it. It will be a pretense. What is the meaning of mamata? Think about it this way. If someone was attacking your wife or your husband or your children physically, would you just sit back and watch it happen? That means you have no attraction, no attachment, no familiarity. What is the meaning of family if you're just watching someone beat or hurt or malign that person you love the most? What is the meaning of your love? You will somehow get in there and try to help. Try to break that apart. Try to stop it. This is natural for any animal. And this is something I'm realizing more and more on a daily basis. That in the name of bhakti, in material dharma, even in the dharma of animals, there is more loyalty, there is more conviction, more mamata, and more dharma, even in the non-devotee moods. You know, when you see, like, what is the mood of their loyalty? The character, to not create or bring any ill mood or ill name to my Gurudev, to my family, to my Guru Parampara. In a material way, yes, to my father, to my parents, to my family line, yes, I will defend it. And I myself will behave in such a way that I don't bring any ill reputation to them. But somehow in current Vaisnava culture, it seems like it's becoming opposite. And this is the influence of Kali Yuga. That anyone can do anything in the name of Gurudev and in the name of Bhakti and get away with it. And if anyone else says, hey, wait a second, oh, you're aparadhi. Nonsense. Those who are making an honest endeavor to try to serve their Gurudev as he is, as it is, this is not aparad. This is with affection. This is with mamata. And if Gurudev is really the embodiment of the mercy and compassion of Krishna, as Shastra says Sri Guru is, then Guru will understand the real feeling of the heart. He will acknowledge that. And if there is possibly any mistake, because people are conditioned souls, very quickly, he will correct and adjust them. Because Krishna promises in Bhagavad Gita, Shukram bhavati dharmatma shachvach chantim nagachatim kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktya pranashati. If you're doing it with the mood, one-pointed mood to serve your Gurudev, maybe you make some mistake, but at least you're making that endeavor, then Guru Krishna will understand and acknowledge. We may make a mistake, but they will understand, acknowledge, and they will make the adjustment as necessary. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhanu Guru Varga ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. No, I'm seeing. So we'll have to address these next questions tomorrow because it's becoming late. I apologize in advance for not addressing all of the questions, but thank you for your questions and for participation in this subject. It is essential for disciples to meditate on these. And if you read the works of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, our Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, our Gurudev, how much nishta, conviction, and strong support and defense of their Gurudev and Guru Varga they have presented, then we can pray to them that may even a particle of their nishta, their conviction, and their loyalty may manifest in our hearts. So, Shri Gurudev ki jai, all Vaisnava Thakurs ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Oops, I don't know why I closed that. Would you like to read?
Okay.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Shashananda Hari ki jai, Laddu Gopal ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Radha Bihari ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Hare Ram Sankirtan ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Govinda Nam Narayan Govinda Nam Narayan Govinda Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai 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 Shri Radhe Jai Jai Shri Radhe Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you very much for being with us today, for giving us your association and inspiring us with so many beautiful remembrances of the teachings of our Gurudev and Guru Varga. We look forward to being with you all again tomorrow. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Radhe
Krishna.
Radhe
Radhe